The next day at school, I tell my teacher about my experience with my boss and the two ladies who didn't speak English very well. Our teacher says, "Great, your boss must be a very clever young lady. It is true that you can communicate with everybody. Even people who speak English very well can have a conversation with those who are just at the beginning of their journey." Today, we will speak about different levels of English and what you should be able to do at these levels. Let's start with the lowest level of 1.000 words. At this level, students can speak about some basic things from everyday life. The speaking is very limited, but it is already possible to communicate slowly for a short time with people who want to speak with you. Your sentences are short, usually around 4 words. If the others also speak in short sentences, you can have a basic conversation. When students move to a higher level, which is 2.000 words, the conversations become easier, and the sentences longer. This is the level most of you in this class are at right now. You should be able to speak about many things from your life. You can speak about your family, hobbies, job, and traveling. Sometimes, you may have a problem when you want to go into a deeper conversation on certain topics. However, this level is usually sufficient for everyday use of English. If you want to be able to have a deeper conversation on many topics, it is good to know 3.000 words. Your goal as a student of English, who wants to be able to speak well, should be to learn 3.000 words. Of course, you can learn more than that. The more words you know, the easier it will be for you to communicate in English. But 3.000 words is usually enough for communicating about almost everything. I think the two ladies at your cafe knew about 1.000 words. Your boss went to their level and had a basic conversation. She spoke with the man and sold him 2 coffees and 2 of our regular sandwiches. I was surprised. When they left, I went to my boss and told her that I was sorry I didn't understand the man. She said it was okay with them. After school, I went to work, and the two ladies came to our cafe again. They also brought 2 of their friends. It was my turn to serve them. I spoke to them in simple, short sentences, and they understood me. This was great. They told me they were tourists from Japan and that they liked our cafe because people understood them here. When you want to be able to communicate in English, learn 3.000 words. Lesson 14. What to do when you are shy. On Thursday, I went to school again. One student had a very interesting question. She said, "I am very shy when I have to speak English. Can you help me overcome my shyness?" Our teacher replied, "It is true that when we use foreign languages, it is natural to feel uncertain or shy. We are doing something we are not perfect at, and the possibility of making a mistake is great. I was also very shy when I learned foreign languages. I remember well how I was afraid to make a mistake. When I did make a mistake, I felt stupid and sometimes blushed. Now it is different. I use languages for communication. I care only about communicating. You know, I am learning Spanish these days. Embarrassing situations can happen, but they don't stop me from using Spanish. It is true that sometimes I still feel shy when I speak Spanish. And I sometimes blush. But I don't care much about it. It's a natural human feeling. And it never lasts forever. I continue using Spanish because I know that only by using it can I improve. I also try to see things as they are. I am a student, and I am on the way to good Spanish. It is not possible to skip several levels in one day. A beginner can't become a perfect speaker in 1 hour. I also see what I mean to the people around me. When I already speak some Spanish, I am valuable to people who speak Spanish. You should see the same when you already speak some English. You can have a conversation with other people in English. That's great. Look at what you already know. You know 2.000 words. You've already gone from 0 to 2.000 words. Appreciate it. Some students feel that knowing English means speaking like a native speaker, perfect pronunciation, perfect grammar, and no mistakes. They think if they aren't doing that, they don't know English, and they feel embarrassed because they are not perfect. These students are very hard on themselves. It's not necessary. All of you are great because you already speak some English. Continue working on your English, and your shyness will gradually go away. I liked what our teacher told us. I am also sometimes shy. I know I should practice speaking a lot. But in some situations, I don't want to look stupid. So I don't speak as much as I should. I decided to be a bit braver in these situations and use them to practice more. Then, one student said, "Sometimes, I want to say something, but I don't know the word I want to use. Then I stop, and I don't know what to do. In these situations, I feel very stupid. The next time I have the chance to speak English, I don't want to, because I don't want to feel stupid again. Can you help me with this?" Our teacher replied, "When you start speaking English, you have to prepare for one thing. There will be moments when you don't know a word you want to say. In such a situation, you need to learn how to describe the word. This ability is very important when learning a new language. Since you are not a native English speaker, you will probably never know the same number of words as you do in your native language. I can tell you that you can describe almost any word. You just need to train this skill. You will need to practice expressing ideas within the vocabulary you have. For example, if you don't know how to say key, you can describe it as a small object used to open a door. You describe words in your native language without realizing it. If you don't know the word for something, you just describe it to the other person so they understand what it is. You can do the same thing in English. But you need to train this ability. Thinking aloud is a very good technique when you want to improve your ability to describe things. Use thinking aloud every day, and your skill will improve. You can only learn English by using it. It's okay to be shy, but don't let that stop you from using English. Who is talented? The next day was Friday, and I went to school again. I was happy to go to this class. Not only because of our teacher. I liked the class because there were students from many different countries. Some students were from Europe, some from South America. We also had one student from Japan and one from South Korea. This was good for me because the students didn't speak my native language. So when I spoke to them, I had to use only English. This was very good for my practice. Today, we had another new student in our class. Her name was Sophia. She was from. At the beginning of the lesson, Sophia says that she thinks she doesn't have a talent for studying languages. But she wants to work hard to improve. My teacher asks her, "Why do you think that you don't have a talent?" She answers, "I think I don't have a talent because my sister learns English very fast. But for me, it is difficult." Then our teacher asks everyone in the class, "Do you think that you have a talent for learning languages? Please put your hand up if you believe that you have a talent." I look around the class, and nobody puts their hands up. My teacher smiles. Then she says, "Now, I want to tell you something. Many people think that you need to have a talent if you really want to learn a new language. I agree, you do need talent. But I also believe that you already have a talent for learning languages. Why? Because you have already learned one language. Which is your native language. You were successful at learning your native language. And you speak it fluently. All people who are able to learn their native language have a talent for learning languages. Why do many students believe they are not talented? The reason is that there are people who are super talented. Yes, it's true. These super talented people remember new words very fast and for a longer time. Maybe you know these people. Maybe it's someone at your work or in your family. There aren't many of these people. But they exist. I believe this might be Sophia's sister as well. Learning a new language is fun for these people. And they can do it easily. Sophia says, "It's true that my sister is really better than everyone else." Our teacher continues, "It is true that these super talented people exist. It's a fact. And we can't do anything about it. Yet, it's not a problem. The problem is that we compare ourselves to these people. And if we don't learn as fast as they do, we think we're not talented. I want to ask you for one thing. Please do not compare yourself to these super talented people. Yes, they are lucky and have an advantage. But you might be lucky too. And super talented in other things. Maybe you are more talented than others when it comes to singing, swimming, playing tennis, counting numbers, cooking, or repairing cars. People are not all the same. That's the beauty of this world. Now, you can believe that you are also talented. Maybe not super talented, but talented. When you believe that you are talented, learning English will be easier for you. These words from our teacher are very helpful for us. I know that I am talented at playing football and tennis. Now I know that I am also talented at learning English. It is great. What is also great is that there is a school party in the evening. I really look forward to this party. I know that some girls from our class are going. And I hope that our new student, Sophia, will also attend. I have only known Sophia for one day. But I like her a lot. If you can speak your native language, you have a talent for learning English. On Monday, I go to school again. Our teacher asks us how Friday's school party was. One student says, "The party was great. We had a lot of drinks and a lot of fun. The girls from our class enjoyed the party as well. I enjoyed the party a lot because Sophia was there. I could talk to her. And we danced together. It was all very nice. There were also 2 boys from my football team at the party. These boys were from Brazil. Their English skills were basic. They could only speak in short sentences, but they were extremely funny. They made a lot of jokes about life in England, about other players from our team, and about the girls in their class. Everyone laughed. Their sentences were very short, with only 3 or 4 words, but they were able to speak fluently. When we talk about the party, I tell my teacher, it was really interesting to see that someone who doesn't know many words can still speak fluently. I know some students who are at a much higher level, but they have a hard time speaking. My teacher says, "This is really interesting. The 2 boys from your football team showed you what all students should do. They used what they knew. They cared only about what was really important, communication." Then one girl asks, "So, what should we do if we want to speak English fluently? Should we go to parties and make jokes?" My teacher replies, "First, let me explain what fluent speaking is. Many students think that fluency means speaking quickly with a lot of words and perfect grammar. However, there is a better, more accurate definition. Fluency is speaking without long pauses. Some people can do this with 1.000 words. And some can do it with 2.000 words. Yet, there are also people who know 3.000 words and still can't speak fluently. If you want to speak fluently, you have to practice speaking. There is no other way to improve your fluency. Speaking is a physical activity, it's like playing a musical instrument. If you want to play the violin, you need to train the connection between your brain and the muscles in your fingers. When you want to speak well, you need to train the connection between your brain and the muscles in your mouth. If this connection is not regularly trained, you can't speak fluently, no matter how many words you know. You can't complain that you can't speak fluently if you don't practice speaking often. Maybe you've experienced this. You meet a foreigner who wants to speak with you in English. And you want to express the ideas in your head, but you can't find the right words. Then, when the conversation ends and you replay it in your head, you realize that you actually knew the right words, but by then, it's too late. Why does this happen? Because you have little training. Your speaking isn't automatic. It's not automatic because you don't practice it often enough. If you want to speak fluently, I recommend speaking for at least 30 minutes a day. You can speak to a real person. If you don't have someone to talk to, you can practice thinking aloud. It is important to really speak aloud. Not just think in your head. You need to practice the connection between your brain and your muscles. Thinking aloud helps you do this. Does that make sense? Yes, says the girl. If you want to speak fluently, speak for 30 minutes every day. What is the best school? At the next lesson, one of the students asks an interesting question. She says, "Next week I am going home, and I would like to continue studying in my country. I don't know how to choose a good school there. Could you help me? How do I know if the school is good or not?" My teacher says, "This is a very good question. I believe that when you read, listen, and speak a lot, you don't necessarily need a school. You will learn English naturally by using it. However, if you want to pay for your education, a good teacher can help speed up the process of learning. If you want to know if your school is good, before the first lesson of the course, go to www.testlanguages.com. There you can find out how many words you know after 5 lessons at the new school. Do the test again after more lessons, and you can see how many new words you've learned. If you're happy with your progress, you can continue paying for your lessons. It's also important that you enjoy every lesson and look forward to the next one. Enjoying every activity you do with English is key. I also give private lessons via Skype. If you're interested, I can teach you through Skype. If you don't find a good school in your town, you can contact me, and I can help you. This is great, says the student. I want to have private lessons with you via Skype. This is great news for me. I didn't know it was possible to have a private lesson with my teacher. Soon, I'm also going back to my country, and I want to have private lessons with my teacher too. When you go to school, you have to see your progress and enjoy every lesson. What to do when you need help? It is Wednesday, and I go to school again. At the beginning of the next lesson, Monica has a question for our teacher. She asks, "How do you know all of this? Where did you learn all the information about studying languages?" Our teacher says, "There are many ways to gain knowledge about how to learn and teach languages. The first one is experience. I have been teaching for more than 7 years. So I have a lot of experience. When I teach, I observe what works and what doesn't. And then I use only the things that help. I also study materials about language learning on the internet. When I find something interesting, I test it in one of my classes. If it works, I use it in all my other classes. There is another way I get information. It usually happens when I have a question but can't find an answer. During these moments, I visit my magic park and get the answer there. Monica tells our teacher, "This is interesting. How do you get the answers in the magic park? Where is the magic park? Can we go there too?" Our teacher says, "What I'm going to tell you may not seem real to everybody. If it sounds crazy, I'm sorry. However, you asked, so I'm giving you the answer. I believe that if you have a question and you ask the universe for an answer, the answer comes. When I have a question, I go to the magic park. I sit on a bench, relax my body, slow down my breathing, and try to free my mind. Then, I ask the question. That's all. Sometimes the answer comes as a new idea in my head. Sometimes, someone I speak to later says something that helps me find the answer. Other times, I watch an interesting video on the internet and find the answer there. Sometimes, the answer comes the next day in the morning when I wake up. What's interesting is that the answers keep coming. And I am so grateful for them. As I said, you don't have to believe this. But this is what I do and how it works for me. The park is not far from here. It's a 10-minute walk. A lot of people go there to relax. It has a beautiful, peaceful atmosphere, and I call it the magic park because it's magical for me. My teacher's words are very interesting to me. I didn't know that people could ask the universe for answers. Maybe in the future, when I have an important question, I'll go to the park and ask for an answer too. When you have a problem with something, ask for help. Summary. The next day, one girl asks our teacher an interesting question. She says, "Thank you for all the information you're giving us on how to learn English. Could you give us a summary with rules on what we can do every day to learn English well?" Our teacher says, "Okay, I will try to give you a simple summary. If you want to speak English well, you need to do 3 things. Read, listen, and speak. You already know this, but what's important is that you do all 3 activities in about the same amount of time. If you leave one out, your progress won't be as fast as it could be. From my experience, I can say that it's important to use English every day for at least 90 minutes. You don't have to study, but you should use English actively. Now, let me explain each activity in more detail. Let's start with reading. You should read for at least 30 minutes every day. That's the minimum. Don't read to study English. Read to get new information and enjoy an interesting story. I know I repeat this information again and again, but it's really important. Then, you should listen to English for at least 30 minutes every day. Again, it should be something you're interested in, something you enjoy. Start with simple audiobooks or news. Then move on to higher-level books and news. When you know about 20 words, you should start watching films and videos online. Finally, you should speak. You already know how important it is to speak when you study English. Again, it's important to speak for at least 30 minutes every day. Of course, the best way is to speak to real people. It could be your teacher, classmates, colleagues, or friends. Try to find someone at your level of English or a little better, and speak with them. However, If you don't have anyone to talk to, techniques like shadowing and thinking aloud can help. These methods give you plenty of speaking practice every day. I use these techniques myself when I learn Spanish. I don't have any native Spanish speakers in my daily life, so I use these two techniques to improve my Spanish. As you can see, learning English is simple. All you have to do is read, listen, and speak. That's all. Now you know how to do it. Thank you, says the girl. This is exactly what I needed to hear. You're the best. I'm also very glad the girl asked this question. It's my last day at school, and I needed some kind of summary on what I can do on my own. During the 4 weeks I've spent with my teacher, I've learned a lot and improved my English significantly. My teacher knows that this is my last day. She asks me if I want to say something to the other students in the class. I say that I was very happy to be part of this class, and I met a lot of nice people. I give everyone my email address and tell them they can contact me if they want to. Then, I say goodbye to everyone. I'm a little sad, but I know I have to move on. I can't stay at school forever. Now it's up to me to continue improving my English. I have all the tools I need. 1 year later. It's been 1 year since my last day at school. I have used English every day and applied the techniques my teacher gave me. Now, I know 4.000 words in English. It's great. I also have a new job teaching English. I teach beginners who know only 500 words. This is good for me because I know I need a lot of practice as a teacher before I can teach at a higher level. I have one great advantage in my new job. I had a great teacher in London. I learned a lot from her. And now I'm trying to pass on everything I learned to my students. I want them to be successful too. When you want to learn English, read, listen, and speak. Do each activity for 30 minutes every day.